All right, so sorry that last video got a little bit long. Well, you guys know too much about rocks. So we're gonna go back to then medium grain rocks after coarse grain. Now, medium grain rocks, that would be sandstone. So everybody knows like what sand looks like. So we can still see the grains in it. You can feel it as a little bit rough, but not as big as the big grains that are in the coarse grain rocks. Sandstone is called sandstone because it's made out of sand. Love when things make sense. And sandstone is important because of its porosity. And we just talked about porosity with water. That means that water is able to flow through it. So sandstone is really important. When we find it underground, we often find groundwater running through it because it's porous enough for the groundwater to be able to run through it. So we have a sandstone aquifer would be a great place to try to tap into to get groundwater. And then we have two different kinds of fine grain rocks. We have fine and then we have very fine. So fine grain rocks consist of silt and clay-sized particles. So these are particles that come from like water that has been sitting really, really still for a really long period of time. And all of this stuff, the dead sediment and things are just kind of decomposing, decaying, and just piling up, and it's really, really fine sediment, and it takes a long time for it to settle out of water. So as it's settling out of water, it's going to pile up into this really fine grained rock, and this happens in swamps. So it's going to have very low porosity. That's going to allow it, instead of like sandstone for water and things to flow through it, it's actually going to hold pockets of oil and natural gas. So we look to fine grained sedimentary rocks when we're looking for oil or we're looking for natural gas. Pennsylvania has a ton of shale, especially a formation called the Marcellus Shale that's under the ground. It's about 2 miles deep, but we can drill down to it. We can break open this rock underground, open up these pockets that it's holding, and then we can get natural gas out of it. And that's called, it's called hydraulic fracturing. We call it fracking for short. And I'm sure you probably learned about fracking somewhere along the line. So we have our fine grain sediment is siltstone, and there it goes. Siltstone is made out of silt. Now it's very hard to tell the difference. So this is siltstone and shale. I really should just find you guys other rock videos, sorry. And so siltstone is fine grain because it's made up of silt. Shale is made up of clay. Pennsylvania has a ton of clay. If you go out and dig in your backyard, you probably have a lot of clay in the soil. It doesn't allow a lot of water to flow through it. It's very non-permeable, not porous. So shale is one of the most common rocks around here. It can be gray, it can be red. Pennsylvania red shale is really common. Gray shale, so we see a lot of this around us. It's a pretty common rock. If you hit it, it's kind of fragile, it's layery, and like it'll actually break off in layers. All right, so I'm gonna pause here and then come back and talk to you about the other types of sedimentary rocks. So all of these with the different size grains were all of those were clastic sedimentary rocks.